Hello everyone. Today what I'm going to do is do a quick deck tech for one of my commander decks that I tend to keep sleeved up and ready to play. Not a particularly competitive deck, it's not particularly a budget deck either. It's a deck that I find fun and not a massively popular commander I wouldn't have thought, but this deck is for Thromok the Insatiable. If you're unaware of Thromok, he is a legendary creature, Helion. You see him there. I believe this card originally was in one of the plane chase sets. Thromok is 5 mana, 3, a red and a green, and for that you get a 0/0. But there's more. He also has his ability, which is Devour X, and the way that this ability works is whenever Thromok comes into play, you can sacrifice any amount of creatures, and depending on how many you sacrifice, you get an amount of +1/+1 counters. Now, normally Devour would be templated with a number, Devour 2, and we get 2 counters for every creature you sacrifice, but with Thromok's ability of Devour X, effectively it goes exponential. So if you sacrifice 1 creature, Thromok would be a 1/1. If you sacrifice 2, he's a 4/4. Sacrifice 3, he's a 9/9. Sacrifice 4 is a 16/16, and if you sacrifice 5, is a 25/25. At which point, as you know, as is your commander, 25 points of commander damage is lethal. So ideally, the play pattern with Thromok, you want to make him at least a 25/25, bigger if you can, and then you find a way to give him trample, haste, whatever it takes, and start connecting with your opponents and put them out of the game. So I'll go through some of the cards I have in my Thromok deck, and then we'll have a wee look at the complete deck. I have a fairly extensive ramp package for this deck. It's all land-based ramp. One of the things about my Thromok deck is it has no artifacts in it. That's more of a theme thing, just big dumb beast attacks. No artifacts, no technology. It's kind of a restriction on the deck. So all the ramp is land-based, and these are the cards that I use to provide land ramp. Lots of standards like Cultivate, Kodama's Reach. Fertilid also ties into, there's a +1/+1 counter theme in the deck as well. Obviously Thromok himself is based on +1/+1 counters. And this is the basis of getting lands out, ramping up to big creatures, ramping up to produce lots of tokens, and then landing Thromok on the same turn that you can give him haste or trample and hopefully connect with him. I'm also running some mana dorks. The general intention here is to provide a dual function, as well as also providing mana and ramping up into your big stuff early. There are also creatures on the board, so when Thromok comes in, you can sacrifice these guys, get extra counters, make them bigger. In order to produce a lot of tokens, a lot of things to sacrifice, I'm running a suite of token producing cards. Generally these are all creature based. A lot of them cost quite a lot of mana, and again, generally the play pattern of the deck, ramp up your lands, get out your big token producers, and then land a big Thromok. That's the intention of the deck. But a lot of these creatures are big in their own right, so an alternative win con, you can just attack with your big beaters. Also have 3 cards to give Thromok haste for the turn it comes down. This is probably something that could do some work, could use some more haste enablers. Anger is particularly good. You can play it as a creature, sacrifice it to Thromok when he comes in to get some more counters, and as soon as it hits your graveyards, Thromok will gain haste and he can smack right in. Also running a number of ways to give Thromok trample, so that even if your opponents have blockers, if he's big enough, you'll still trample over for that 20 points of commander damage that you want to win the game. And just to make sure that Thromok's extra big, I'm also running some additional effects to put additional counters on him. I don't have a Primal Vigor, but if I did, that would be in here as well. As an alternative way to win the game, we have these fling effects. We get 3 of them. Obviously this wouldn't count as commander damage if you were to sacrifice your huge Thromok to throw it in your opponent's face, but it's quite easy to get Thromok to 40 power or above, and that would still be lethal. I have a few tutor effects in the deck. Crop rotation is particularly handy because it can get you your Scarg the Rage Pit or your Kessig Wolfrun in order to get trample onto your Thromok. We can use Time of Need to get Vorinclex or any other legendary creature in the deck, and Flame King Harbinger can get us a Fertilid if we're wanting to get some extra land, or can get a Phylath in order to make some tokens, get a Avengers Zendikar, make some tokens. Don't have a huge amount of card draw in the deck. It's probably one of the areas that they could use some work on, but these are some of the card draw effects that are running in the deck just now. Don't have a huge amount of removal in this deck. It's not really that sort of deck. It's more concerned with doing its own thing, making a big Thromok and trying to smash. But there are some, quite a bit of artifact removal, including a Shatterstorm, which is a one-sided kind of artifact wrath because we're not running any artifacts. We also have our fling effects, which can be used as creature removal in a pinch. I'm running quite a lot of lands in this deck, and to balance that up, I'm running quite a lot of the Modal Dual Face lands from Zendikar Rising. So these can also obviously be used for a bit of card draw with Valakut Awakening, a bit of creature removal with Shatterskull Skull Smashing, or Kazil's Fury. Balaged Recovery can maybe get something back, so gives us a bit of flexibility in the deck while still allowing us to run quite a high land count. These are the additional non-land cards that I'm running in the deck. These are just some general utility stuff. Dosan is particularly good for stopping your opponent from messing with your turn. If you're going to be firing out your big Thromok, give them haste, trample and hitting, they need to remove Dosan before they start to answer your Thromok. Okay, this is particularly worth talking about here because his effect is, if you're unfamiliar with the card, whenever your commander deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much to each other opponent. So if we're hitting one of our opponents with a lethal Thromok, we'll be hitting all our opponents with a lethal Thromok. So okay, this is particularly good if you have a 20 power or above Thromok and you can hit someone with it. So look at the land base we're running in addition to the Modal Dual Face lands. I have a fair few basics. This deck still has some snow covered lands in it, which I did used to have cards that used that, which they've been removed, but I just haven't got around to actually taking the snow covered lands out, so that's something that needs to be done. I have a Dryad Arbor, which additional creature you might get to sacrifice to Thromok. Or a Reef's quite nice with a bit of the counter synergy that's going on. Most Warp Bridge is fairly easy to activate with the big power of the creatures that we're likely to produce. So all in all, this is a fun deck. When it wins big. When it loses big. You know, you can quite easily just completely flub with this deck. But equally, things go well, you get a big Thromok out, you hit people, it can be a lot of fun. One thing before I go, I recently opened a set of the new Magic set, a box of the new Magic set, Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, which you can see on the channel, you may have already watched. So normally when I open a box of Magic cards, I'm always thinking, what cards can I use in my existing deck? So thinking about this from the point of view of my existing Thromok deck, these are the cards from that box that I think possibly might fit in, so I'll give you my thoughts on those. Bard class is something you could possibly consider. It is in the correct colours. Legendary creatures enter with an additional +1/+1 counter, which would fit in with the theme of the deck. And also, it additionally has legendary creatures you cast cost 1 red, 1 green less, which again would make your commander cheaper. And the final effect, whenever you cast a legendary spell, you can exile the top 2 cards of your library and play them this turn, which is a bit of card draw, so it's definitely something to consider. But overall, I feel there probably aren't enough legendary creatures in the deck as it stands. But if the number of legendary creatures is upped, this is definitely a card that we could probably consider. You Meet in a Tavern is green card draw, and it's something that we could possibly think about. It has 2 modes. Form a party, look at the top 5 cards of the library, reveal any number of creature cards and put them into your hand. And you can start a brawl, you can also give creatures you control +2/+2 until the end of turn. So both of these modes are potentials for the deck. The +2/+2 for all creatures, if for some reason we're not going for the big Thromok one, but we have a lot of tokens via a Adventurer's Zendikar or whatever, we could just give them all +2/+2 and go for an Alpha Strike. But Form a Party is basically like it's probably just a weaker Harmonise at the end of the day. The deck as it stands is 33 creatures in the 99. So looking at your top 5, you're probably drawing, 1.5 creatures. I don't think that's really strong enough, but if there were more creatures in the deck, it's probably something we could maybe think about running. Circle of Dreams Druid is one that people are thinking about for Commander, but for this particular deck, most of the ramp is land-based, and ultimately we want to be sacrificing we want our small mana creatures to power out our Thromok, or some of our big token generators then power out Thromok and probably be sacrificed themselves, and this just seems a bit slow. It's probably something that's just going to end up being sacrificed to a big Thromok, and we're not really going to have a use for that mana. So I don't think this is probably the deck for this card. Within your class is something I think that might well fit, and this might be one that I might consider putting in the deck. 2 mana gives you a 2/2, which is a creature. So on the board, we can sacrifice it to Thromok, it can block, Then if we put it to the next level, whenever a creature you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. Obviously, we're running a lot of token doublers, additional token cards, so this can get us, if we have a doubling season out, for example, that's 2 +1/+1 counters on a target attacking creature, and that can get out of hand quite quickly. So that could be a bit of synergy there, but it's really the final level that's something we might consider. You can look at the top card of your library anytime and play creature spells off the top of your library. Now, if you have 33 in the 99, then 1 and 3, we're going to be able to basically draw a card. So you'd be drawing an extra card probably every third turn, but anytime you shuffle your deck, you're tutoring with even an Evolving Wilds or whatever, you're going to get another shot at that. So this could have potential, and this is one I might try. We got a Guttural Response and as one of our list cards in the box, and this is something that certainly could be useful in the deck. When you're going for your big turn, somebody tries to counter your Thromok or counter one of your enablers, you can use this to strike back. It's quite an unusual effect, and it's something we could consider. And You Find Some Prisoners is a card that a lot of people are talking about as maybe something that you'll see in a lot of Commander decks in the future. Again, 2 modes. Destroy target artifact. Straight up, it's a shatter and a braid, whatever. Always useful. And the second effect, you can exile the top 3 cards of the opponent's library and choose one of them, and until the end of your next turn, you can play it and spend mana, as low as mana of any colour, to cast it. So in EDH, one of the main things this can do is it can screw up your opponent if they're running top deck tutors, a Vampiric Tutor, Worldly Tutor, Mystical Tutor. You can basically remove your opponent's top card and they don't get it, and you're taking the top 3 as well, even though you're only getting one yourself, you are exiling the top 3. So anything like that, get a bit of utility there. So this is one that, depending on your meta, this could be something that might be worth considering. So that's a little bit about Thromok. So if you let me know what you think in the comments, if Thromok's a commander that you've tried, or if you're interested in it, or any kind of strategies you think might be useful. So thanks for watching.